Cool. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, Jacob had a family emergency, so unfortunately you guys are stuck with me for now. Cool. So yeah, Pablo's been telling me about Seattle forever, seems like now, and raving and ranting about it. I've been here about 24 hours, and I could definitely see why. There's like so many great people in the room, building great things, not shouting it from rooftops, but actually sitting down doing the work. So I definitely want you guys to give yourselves a round of applause before we get started. Cool, so yeah, I got thrown in the tank with not really knowing too many of the questions, so bear with me. But Maria, please tell everybody in the room a little bit more about yourself and Y Labs.
Sure. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so great to see so many people interested in generative AI for the enterprise. That's definitely our sweet spot. So I'm Maria Karaivanova. I'm one of the co-founders at Y Labs. We are Madrona-backed. Thank you. We are a Madrona-backed startup and in the AI observability space. By a quick way of background, how I got to Y Labs, I caught the startup bug by being one of the first 20 employees at a company called Cloudflare in the Bay Area. There, I led early sales and business development. I got to see the company and help the company scale from 0 to 120 million in ARR, and got the opportunity to ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, which was a really unique experience. And then one thing led to another. I switched to the VC side of things. So I actually spent time with Madrona Ventures, and while there met my co-founders who were solving the problem of democratizing access to tools and building tools for data scientists and AI builders to basically give them the same tools that the tech giants like Amazon, Oracle, Google have for their teams. And that really caught my attention, having done something similar in the security side of things. So we started Y Labs in 2019. We actually spun out from the Allen Institute for Artificial Intelligence, which we're very fortunate to have here in Seattle. If you haven't spent time there, whether you're on the investing side or the startup side or the enterprise side, you should. They're phenomenal companies and people and ideas. So from a Y Labs perspective, we'll talk more about it, but we are solving the problem of observability. So all of the previous panel highlighted, basically was setting me up for success. They highlighted all the different things that are challenging with putting AI in production and scaling it and driving ROI. And we solve a lot of those challenges through giving tools for monitoring, for debugging, for catching data quality issues, preventing things like hallucinations, security concerns, and so forth. So very excited to have this opportunity to chat with Justice.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm excited. So tell us, what kind of companies do you work with, and what needs are you usually solving first?
We work with everyone from Fortune 500s to AI-first startups. So our sweet spot is companies that are putting AI systems to production, whether those are LLM-powered experiences, chatbots, etc., or classic or predictive machine learning applications. Because once you have exposed the machine learning model to production, you start experiencing a lot of the issues that were highlighted, like it's not scaling correctly, or the data science team is not bringing the return on investment that everyone was betting on. And as we all know, those resources are very expensive, both on the salary side as well as all the resources on the compute side that they need. So every day or every week that they're chasing a bug or trying to do things manually costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when things break in production, for example, if you're serving the wrong ad because your recommendation model was not recommending the right personalization mechanism, that's a real problem. Or if you have put a chatbot in a healthcare company and did not guardrail it properly, and the chatbot starts giving medical advice, that's a huge liability and risk. So we help solve those problems, and those problems affect companies large and small as long as they're looking to productionalize machine learning.
Nice. So yeah, Gerson was talking a little bit about trust, accuracy.
To go and build an LLM or a data science powered experience and expose it to the world if they want to. So the time to production, the barrier to entry has been removed.
Right.
It's been democratized. But I think, Anoop, you were talking about that's great, and building a prototype has become cheap and easy, and you don't need to be a data scientist. Any part of the organization, you don't even need to be an engineer to do that. You can be a prompt engineer. So you can build beautiful experiences, but then, when you start thinking about, okay, this is working great, I pitched it to my executive team, everyone was delighted, our customers are going to love it, it's going to increase productivity, it's going to cut the need for customer support people, etc., or we don't need as many writers. But then when you actually open it up for usage, all the corner cases kick in, or you're hitting problems where your internal policies are not enforced, or the model may leak proprietary information, or it can be jailbroken, or all kinds of problems. It can hallucinate and make up something that doesn't exist. So all kinds of different problems emerge, and we see that over and over with customers. And what happens is you have now talked to your executives about your GenAI strategy, but then you can't execute on this strategy, and you have spent a lot of money. And where WildOps comes in is we help with guardrailing things, enforcing policies, securing things, and doing it in an automated way at scale, and regardless of whether you're using OpenAI or one of the small language models, or you have built on top of Llama 2 or any of the other models. So that's kind of one of the big value adds that we bring.
Nice, that's amazing. Internally, for the orgs that you work with, what teams do you like to work with the most, and which teams do you often work with the most?
Teams with budget.
That's a fantastic answer.
Interestingly enough, I don't know what people's experiences is, but selling software to data scientists is not for the faint of heart. So I come from a security background. Cybersecurity have different issues. It's crowded, like you're competing with 200 companies for attention, but there's budget. There's procurement process. People have bought software for as long as you can remember. In data science, that is not the case. A lot of data scientists come from academia. They're used to consuming open source libraries. They're used to just being hand-off an environment, and they're just now learning, we need tools, and we need budget, and this is how we go and get it, and this is how I get an NDA executed. So there are a lot of kind of day-to-day problems that we're solving for being a new software category. Now, having said that, what has been a big shift for me on the go-to-market side is that with LLMs, what happened is the CISO had the data science team. They were working on their models. They were relatively confined. Data quality issues would emerge, but they will manually troubleshoot them. With LLMs, it's like having the black boxes and plugging them in everywhere. Marketing organization, HR organization, they're just everywhere. And now the CISO is paying real close attention. It's like, I don't just have one problem and one area of concern. I have dozens, and I don't know where they are. So what's good is that now there is budget, there is a sales cycle, and it's a lot easier in a way, and we are able to tap into different parts of the organization, get attention from different executive buyers and stakeholders. But yeah, I hope I answered your question.
No, you did, absolutely. So definitely, yeah. So I know that there's a lot of concerns right now with cybersecurity and generative AI. So what do you see as far as trends or things that you try and come in and fix within an organization that you work with?
I can't sit in front of this audience and say that we come in and fix things. What we do is, the big risks with Gen AI, and majority of the applications today are less in images and more in LLMs. The biggest risks are things like we just saw Amazon, for example, their sellers had been using OpenAI to generate product descriptions. So there were a whole bunch of product descriptions with error messages that were published on the third party, on the seller marketplace. Well, no organization wants to be reading about that, or their buyers experiencing low quality issues. So there are those types of risks, just lack of quality in the content produced, or you're not catching errors. There are other risks. Every day, every week goes by, there are 3 papers on different jailbreak verticals for LLMs and how to extract the AI from them and how to trick them into doing things they're not supposed to do. So the risks are, in addition to the black boxes risk that I was talking about, it's your models are not compliant. Your models are exposing your enterprise to very, very large risk of PAI leakage, of getting brand and reputational damage if the model does something that it's not supposed to do, like starts a relationship with your customer. Like if there are all kinds of different things that the models can respond with. So what we do from a wireless perspective, we do policy enforcement, we do guardrails, and we do it in an automated, very scalable way where the teams can ship things and in a confined and compliant way and do it faster. So that's one of our bread and butters on the security side.
Amazing. So yeah, I want to open it up for any questions that you guys may have from the crowd. I know somebody has one. Chris.
Yeah, what would you say your biggest challenge that you're facing right now is for Y Labs? Is there a specific challenge
Bigger budgets.
that's a little bit harder to overcome than others for you guys?
Yeah, I'd say, I kind of mentioned one of the challenges is just educating the buyer, for example, like just as a young company. But I would say what we are really focused on is having as many touch points with the new technology, so as many integrations made as easily as possible. So we're like removing any friction for people to get started on Y Labs. Keeping up with all of the academic research. So people, for example, right now we've had a handful of customers ask us for LLM explainability. LLM explainability sounds great. It should exist, but it's very much in the academic realm. So thinking through how do we satisfy customer requests and demand with things that are so new and not yet in production, and do it in a way that's scalable and cost efficient, that's definitely a challenge. And we have to stay on top of all the new research and information and attack angles daily and be very nimble.
So you do observability, right? That's your bread and butter.
Yes.
So what do you think is the next gen observability? Like what happens maybe? Yeah, so, I'm sure you guys know she does observability. That's her bread and butter. My question was, we get observability, that's not everybody gets it, but, I think a lot of organizations are getting it and they see the merit in it. And we Accenture get it and we are using you guys, so it's great. But my question is, what's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen, in 5 years, right? Do you think observability as it is going to grow into something bigger, better, or is it going to get folded into explainability, or, where do you think it's going? And what do you think is next gen of observability?
Even before we started Y Labs, we were very focused on what can be a standalone category in this brand new space. And we did focus on observability because in the DevOps world, there have been multiple multi-billion-dollar companies built like Datadog, like New Reddit, like Splunk. So I definitely think that observability is here to stay. Where it's going to be in 5 years, I have very high conviction that privacy and security, so being in privacy preserving, so having solutions, because on the machine learning and data science side, you're touching data. We're not observing systems, we are observing an infrastructure, we are observing data that powers machine learning models that they run the most proprietary information. So it has to be a model that's privacy preserving. So in the Y Labs case, we use telemetry data. We don't move the data and deploy on-premise in VPC. We are a SaaS solution. We have made this bet. It is a very difficult bet to make when you go to enterprises and you tell them, we're not going to run on-premise. We're going to run as SaaS, and we're going to run in a very scalable, lightweight way. We're never going to touch your data. And because everyone's thinking, I want on-premise on my environment and so forth. So that's another bet that we have made, and I think where the industry is going is everything will be SaaS, so you can move much faster, so you can run it more cost efficiently. And then companies are looking for a platform solution. They don't want to have a vendor to monitor my LLMs, a vendor to monitor my image models, a vendor to monitor my classic or predictive models. They want a platform that does the data monitoring, the model monitoring, whether it's batch or streaming and so forth. So that consolidation and ease of use. And then the other big thing is automating everything. Like literally free up the most valuable resources, data science team, machine learning engineers, and free them up from any manual work, automate everything, but also give me a platform that can communicate to other parts of the organization, that can communicate to the SREs, so they know if something's going wrong on the website, it's because of the model, and they know where to go. You can communicate with the CISO, so they know if there's an attack coming, where it's coming from, and so forth. So those are some of the things that I believe, and hopefully we're building pilots.
You had the first hand up, so.
Yeah, hi Maria. You're selling into enterprises with something that's new, with this new AI thing that's going on. Where do you see the biggest challenge in terms of competition? Is it existing players that the enterprises have already adopted, or is it going to be emerging startups?
Where we encounter the most competition is from the large cloud platforms. So all of the large clouds have their own solution for monitoring observability that is very specific. So SageMaker has SageMaker model monitoring, Google has Vertex AI monitoring, and a number of other things. Microsoft has their own. So that is definitely by far the biggest question we hear from enterprises, like why do I want another vendor? I already get this from my provider. What works well for us is that, especially post the OpenAI leadership debacle, everyone is thinking of, hey, I can't be single vendor dependent, including on my GenAI side. I have to have choice, I have to have redundancy. And so people are quickly realizing that they can't just be dependent on the one provider. And then the different cloud providers have become best of breed in certain parts of the stack, of the machine learning stack. So that's one thing. I do believe it is a meaningful investment opportunity. There are a number of startups solving this problem. Just in the YC class, there were like 5 startups going after LLM observability, I believe, if I'm counting correctly. So it's a real big space because it's a real big problem. GenAI is the most disruptive technology we have observed, I have observed in my lifetime. It is a massive opportunity. And figuring out how to put it in production, generate ROI, operate it, manage it is a real big challenge, and there are meaningful businesses that are going to be built.
I have one question for you. You mentioned that trust was a big value prop that your company is providing. When your customers come to you, what are they already informed on? Where are they already well educated? What are those kinds of buckets? And then what are the areas that you need to educate them more on, you might recommend to the room to focus on areas to educate yourself around trust, especially since so many externalities are changing so rapidly in this space?
So the question, just to repeat it, is when customers come to us, what do they already know, where are they educated, and what are the areas where we have to educate them, especially when it comes to trust? I'd say a lot. It varies whether it's a practitioner that comes to us or an executive, because while they're similar objectives, they have different kinds of evaluation criteria. Practitioner is thinking, how do I solve my day-to-day problem? So, because no data scientist wakes up saying, I'm going to spend the next 3 weeks debugging and looking into my data and my algorithms and figuring out why my model has drifted and is producing garbage results. Nobody wakes up wanting to do that. And so, the executive is thinking, I don't want to end up on the front page of the Wall Street Journal because, I missed my revenue since I was serving the wrong ad to my users. That's a positive, relatively positive mind example. There are many other ways to end up on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, but so we often have to educate them on the need for having a scalable solution that will solve the problem today and 5 years from now. We often have to have them think through, okay, well, if you deploy it the way you want on premise and build a team of 10 people to operate the solution, how do you scale it from there? And what happens if these people leave? Or are you becoming then an observability company? Is this an in-house thing that you want to maintain? So those are some of the kind of barriers to a sale, but mostly people come to us and ask for best practices. They're like, what do you see in retail and e-commerce? What do you see in healthcare? What are the common problems? What are other companies using to build X type of model? What do you see breaking? So we do a lot of education that way, and we do a lot of workshops. We have a partnership with Deep Learning AI. Well, Andrew, we're very fortunate that Andrew Ng led our Series A round. So we do a lot of LLM security education, just kind of a lot of community work and ideas. And we're very fortunate in Seattle to have such a phenomenal AI community. Greg, I'm looking at you.
All right, awesome. I think we're done on questions just because of time, but give it up for Maria and Y Labs.